as well talk about a win.
Let's do it.
Missouri beat Alabama to close out the regular season. This was senior day, I guess, for Reed Nikko, the only senior on the team. I wanted to mention him just, he's kind of in a unique situation where he was a Kim Anderson recruit who actually stayed. There weren't very many of those. And obviously we had Kevin Puryear and Cullen Van Leer, who were more, I guess, kind of fan favorites, at least last year. And Puryear more noteworthy because he scored more. He had a spectacular freshman season, and he started a lot of games in his career. But Reed Nikko just kind of quietly has been this guy who has just been a solid backup to Tillman since he's been on campus, and kind of showed in his senior season that he was capable of a little bit bigger role than I think anybody ever expected him to have.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure that he was always capable of some of those things that he's done, but he's gotten better, and it seems like he's always just kind of been content with any way he can help the team, and even if that's like being a backup to Tillman, and and that just kind of that good karma seemed to kind of pay off for him this year. And when Tillman was injured, he got his time to shine a little bit, and that was really cool to see him legitimately make an impact in the game, and felt like we really needed him to be that. And he was really efficient in SEC play, and I just felt like at times when nobody could finish and nobody could just make a play, like he was the one that could consistently just put the ball in. Mm-hmm. He didn't overcomplicate, plays down low. He would just dunk everything, or he would just found a way to get it in.
Yeah, just finishing dump offs from the guards when they would get into the paint and stuff. Yeah. He's a guy who, like, his whole Mizzou career has just like gone by like that. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of weird thinking about when he was a recruit and now he's played his last season, or has played his last game at Mizzou Arena. It's just kind of wild.
I had forgotten that he had hip surgery his freshman year.
That was a big story. There was I think, there was a lot of people just really questioning him as a player for Mizzou.
Oh, for sure.
Just
is this a D1 recruit?
Yeah,
for sure.
And obviously Kim Anderson had plenty of recruiting misses up to that point, guys that just never panned out as a D1 player anywhere. And he was kind of another guy on that list. Like, okay, we're getting this 6'10" white dude from Minnesota with bad hips. And
he didn't even really have staggering stats in high school either. Yeah. I remember kind of watching or kind of seeing some of his stats whenever we were recruiting him. And he was not even scoring like double digits in games in high school. He was very good defensively, but I was like, I just don't know how this guy's going to make a difference, honestly. And he really didn't make a difference, the first season or two. But that is just a testament to what happens when guys can stay in a program and they trust their coaches and they keep working hard. And he's not a superstar, but he just kind of knew his role and just played hard and stayed in the program. And that, I really respect that.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing you mentioned, knowing his role. And there's just that little bit of self-awareness that when you're a highly recruited player, yet you're not going to be the star of the team. I think some players just lack that self-awareness. And we are talking about, teenagers.
Right.
And you can see that maturity ahead of their years when they just understand their role in a program, and they're not going to, kind of freak out when they don't get the minutes or whatever.
And it's tough. I mean, think about it from a recruit's perspective. You're a teenager. You have been better than everyone you've ever played in your life, and you're talking to so many programs and so many coaches. If you're in that top 200 players or 150 players, you're every coach in your region is telling you we need you, you are going to make a difference on this team. And so of course you believe that, of course you do. And every player probably thinks I'm going to the league and I'm going to be the star player of this team when I come in because coach has told me I'm going to be, and I'm going to be relied upon, and because that's who I am in high school too. And especially some of the players that play against elite talent, and they think, well, I can play against these guys on the EYBL circuits and stuff like that. Why couldn't I play against them in college? And so, it's understandable that players have sometimes lose a little bit of self-awareness when they get to college and kind of have to have an awakening sometimes. And some players can't do that and some players do, but I can understand how it might be difficult for some players to make that transition.
It seems like Konzo Martin as a coach has kind of, I don't know, my theory kind of gets disrupted by the situation with Mario McKinney, but it seemed like to me up until that point that he'd been pretty straightforward with his recruits. You just hear things from time to time in interviews and stuff with players where they just kind of own their role, and maybe that's more of on a player-by-player basis, as opposed to something that Konzo's doing specifically. But it seems like I've seen a little bit of that. But now with the situation with Mario McKinney, obviously there was a little bit of a disconnect there.
For sure.
But when there's not, it turns into a situation with Reed Nikko where a player is used to the best of their abilities.